Welcome to the WDW News Today Podcast.
It still exists?
It's still here. We think it's episode 55, but you might prove us wrong. Let us know if we're wrong in the comments. My name's Eric Morton.
Nice to meet you.
That guy is Tom Corliss.
The man with no core.
And core means heart in French. Don't forget that. He, as you may know, made an employee go to Universal to eat dog food yesterday. That's not a joke. And this weekend we will be at Mardi Gras at Universal, also eating various forms of dog food.
They hate Universal.
Actually, their Mardi Gras food sometimes isn't too bad.
There's some good stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think their festival food's any better or worse than Disney overall, at least.
Some of their HHN food is legitimately bad.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That oh my God, that dessert hot dog, corn dog.
Oh.
The toothpaste corn dog.
Oh God.
Man.
Aquafresh corn dog.
I guess Universal, I think when they started doing the festivals, they had a lot of hits. And I think the same as Disney, as time has progressed, they've gotten lazier and lazier. Or they're just not trying the food before they pump it out.
I would say like Universal was known for things like the pizza fries.
Yeah.
And legitimately, like they've just phoned it in. Like they are consistently horrible now.
Yeah.
The skulls are good. The pizza skulls are always good.
The lentil coffin.
Yeah.
My goodness, the lentil coffins are unbelievable. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
Lentil coffin. Yeah.
That's what my coffin.
What are we here to talk about? We have Mardi Gras coming up. We have the festival in full swing at Epcot Festival of the Arts. We have
we're almost to Flower and Garden at this point.
You stayed at Stella Nova.
I stayed at Stella Nova. I went on we went on several treasure cruises since the last podcast. You went on the Wish. I went on the Fantasy. It's been anarchy around here.
Now,
Katie's falling down the steps. It's wild here.
To be clear, I went on the Treasure for a very short cruise, and it was to work.
What did I do?
You went on the short cruise to work, and then you went on a longer cruise that was like to work. You were there for 7 nights, and we had covered most of the ship at that point, right?
There was tons left to do. You left all the food for me. We had eaten nothing at the Zootopia place. I had to eat like the whole Zootopia ice cream shop.
Okay, wait. But every time we do a review, you're
Periscope,
like, "Oh, Eric just likes
ice cream." We did none
cream.
of Periscope.
Okay, we did we did the drinks at Periscope.
Some of the drinks at Periscope.
We did like their signature.
There was a lot. There was a lot left to do. Yeah. Not as much as there would have been if we had not done the media cruise, but still plenty to do.
I still had to eat all the 1923 food and all the Worlds of Marvel food. The Cocoa food was good, but I haven't eaten all that because there was a second meal.
But then you had to do 1923 and Worlds of Marvel again.
I did because I went on the Wish on purpose.
Of your own volition.
No,
was it? We haven't really talked about this since we got back. Did you have a good time?
I did.
Okay.
So the reason we went on a Wish is because we got a good deal, and Lee, my partner, she loves Cinderella. So I knew that I would not be able to like continue my journey of going on every cruise ship without getting her onto the Cinderella ship.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say there have been a lot of improvements to the Wish since I sailed on her a couple years ago.
Yeah, the closet's closed now.
Yep. The columns in the Grand Hall match.
Oh, they finally fixed that.
Yeah, they fixed that.
Because even when I went a year later, they still didn't. So that's good.
Yeah, no, they match now. Beautiful painting on the underside of the grand staircase. I don't know if they had.
Oh,
that before.
Really?
I didn't notice it before. I mean, it wasn't
maybe
there.
I was there.
But everything felt done.
Okay.
There was no blue painter's tape like from a punch list still on the wall. I did find out they apparently discontinued the Enchante brunch.
Yeah.
Which we enjoyed. I think
I like that a lot.
But I will say that Palo Steakhouse brunch was fantastic. And everyone oohs and ahs about Palo on the other ships and Palo Steakhouse to a lesser extent probably because there's only 2 of them.
I think more because that interior is ugh.
The clockwork like Cogsworth.
Yeah, I don't like the look.
It's like if Cogsworth were into steampunk.
Yeah.
It's a little bizarre.
A non-Italian Palo doesn't feel right. Like I really like... My favorite is old Palo, so like the Magic and the Wonder Palo. I love that interior. Yeah. It's very indicative of 90s Disney fancy, right? So if you remember original California Grill, like that era and that style for sure. But then I also really like the Dream and Fantasy one, where it's a little more ornate, and the booths it looks like you're sitting in a gondola, and it's cute.
We all but passed each other because I got back from the Wish, and the Fantasy was in port.
Yes.
And you were on your way to go get on the Fantasy.
Yes.
And so I'm jealous because, as we know, the Fantasy is the only ship I've not been on.
I forget
and I desperately
that,
want to go on it. In fact, I received a text message today showing some rates as it sails around Italy later this year.
Oh yeah, there are some discounted cruises for the European sailings later this year. Yeah, I saw that.
So what is not discounted is the eastbound transatlantic to get over there.
Yeah,
which is I really would love to do, but it's still like $6,000.
I believe what is discounted though is the westbound.
Oh, coming back?
I think it is because they were trying to talk us into it on our Fantasy sailing. They're like, "Oh, it's a fun cruise and it's cheap," and I was like, "Oh, I'll have to check my schedule."
I've done a few transatlantic voyages before, but they were on gray ships as a Marine Corps passenger, I guess you say.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to do a
fun,
repositioning. I very much want to do a repositioning. I know we keep talking about cruises and people are like, "Can't you talk about parks anymore?" Blah 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 blah. My favorite thing was I probably get flack for this, but I'm going to talk about it. We had a WIGS member who's not renewing their WIGS membership. And one of the complaints they had was we were talking too much about cruises, and you guys don't even have a Victoria and Albert's review. How could you not have a review of a park restaurant, but you're going on cruises? And my thought was, the ship we're going to review has a bar themed to the Haunted Mansion and the Jungle Cruise and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Now, call me crazy, but which of those things applies more to being a Disney Parks fan or a Disney World fan? The bars themed to 3 attractions at Disney World, or the hoity-toity upscale Michelin restaurant at the Grand Floridian?
no, I think it is a hole. Look, I'll
We
wear
should
that.
go
It is
cover
it
it,
is
yeah.
a hole in our armor that we haven't done a review of Victorian Alberts.
But we're also
The
not going to
problem is,
vlog Victorian Albert.
It doesn't lend itself well to like, hey everybody, here we are at Victorian Albert.
I'm
it's
not vlogging,
and I'm not
it's disgusting.
I'm not in their target audience, right? I'm not going to eat weird crap.
Well, I will.
I know you will.
By the way, if we can talk about fine dining for a moment, Remy is unbelievable. I didn't realize so the Apollo menus like never change ever. Remy apparently like once a year changes both sides of their menu, the French and the American, which Scott Hunnell, we're talking about V&A, Scott Hunnell is responsible for the American side of the Remy menu.
Okay.
So they change apparently every 6 months, one of the two changes, which I didn't realize. So like 5 years ago, my first cruise ever on the Dream, we went to Remy for my birthday. And it was my favorite meal I've had in my life, bar none. And so this was the first time back at Remy since then. Completely different menu. It was even better. What did
you eat?
time. Oh my God. I can pull it up.
Was it weird stuff?
I don't know if it's weird. A lot of it was Japanese.
At a French restaurant?
So I mean, chefs take their inspiration from all over the world, right? So like the scallops are from Hokkaido, right?
Okay.
So let me I'll find it here. I'll find my Remy photos.
While you're looking,
Yeah, go on.
how about this new decor in our podcast studio?
It's much better.
We just found stuff laying around the office and
Stuff I
hey,
haven't
what if we put it on shelves? And here we have, and Katie and Billy worked very hard to get the lighting in here going and everything else. And I like it. It feels a little bit more fun than the blue curtain. And even more fun than that brick wall we used to have. Ooh, did she turn it red? Look at that. Something turned red. Ooh, there you go. Katie can play with the lights. I don't know if that was green. We could do the whole Haunted Mansion, like all the show scenes from the Haunted Mansion parlor in here.
Are you ready? It is
Yes.
very nice. They did a great job.
Good job, Katie and Bill.
So the start, there was an amuse-bouche, which was it was a gnocchi of some kind. It was fantastic. But the first actual course was a scallop.
Okay.
Which again from Hokkaido was very, very good. There was then the gambaroni. What is that? All these things have weird names, and then when I look at them, I'll know.
Gambaroni, is he a character from The Sopranos? Hey, get Tony Gambaroni in here.
Oh, the amuse-bouche. Wait, that's the what is that? Was that the scallop was unbelievable, and it was like 2 ways. Oh, it was unbelievable.
I had scallops at Arundel on my last night on a Wish, because my dining rotation unfortunately put me at Worlds of Marvel twice for dinner on a 4-night cruise, and I only got to eat at Arundel on last night. But it was like a giant puff pastry that you know what I'm talking about. It's like a big dome, and then you break open a dome, and somewhere deep in there is like a quarter of a scallop, mixed with a bunch of other stuff that's not scallops. Yours sounds better.
Is Gambaroni squid? I forget. I don't know. There was the 2 first seafood courses were unbelievable. And then what was amazing was, so Rosanna is vegan.
Right.
They did a whole vegan menu that emulated everything I was eating.
Really?
So that way, like, it wouldn't feel weird because the other people you're with are having what looks like the same meal,
what
but
do they
it's
do
vegan.
for a scallop? Please tell me it's not like tofu
or
an impossible scallop.
She has to talk about it. I just have photos, and I don't know that I have the photo of her menu. Maybe I do have the photo of her vegan menu somewhere. I have to look. That I should have taken. Oh, yeah, I did. So she had there was a tomato dish. They have no descriptions. So this is going to do no credit to this. What I love, though, was the tofu dish, which emulated my fish dish. They made the tofu look like the fish, the way it was cooked and seared on the ends.
Oh.
It looked like it was fish.
Are they one of those places that leave the tail and eyeballs on a fish?
No.
Okay, that's
it's
good.
not that. No.
I don't like when they do that.
Oh, her dessert was unbelievable too. I'm going to record a separate thing about our fantasy cruise where I talk more in depth about that. You could see it looks a little like fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. And my dessert was unreal. I don't even remember what it was called, but it was ridiculous. A lot of cocoa nib. Cocoa nib.
I know people like primarily follow us for Parks News, and we have a lot of that. But I will say, like, I'm inspired to like dive more into the cruise stuff.
Yeah.
This was, I don't know, cruise, maybe my 8th or something like that, cruise, and I still feel like I'm dipping my toe into it.
Yeah.
Right? It feels like
still feels
there's
good.
so much to experience.
Yeah.
And look, that's part of the beauty of it, right? There's nothing. Look, maybe I like to lay around.
Yeah.
You know, so it's totally encouraged on a cruise. Lay around. Either lay around in your stateroom or lay around up on the deck somewhere. Just chill, have a drink, relax. I like that. I don't like going to Nassau, right? Nassau,
no one gets
no
off
fun.
in Nassau.
No, it's miserable.
We stayed on the ship.
But other than that, like, the rest of the time is great. We did have, I think I told you, we had a medical emergency on board. And so we were supposed to have a sea day. And the captain comes on and he's basically like, you may have noticed we're picking up speed. We have a medical emergency. We got to get to Nassau. So we had about 3 hours of, booking.
Yeah.
To be on one of these giant ships like the Wish, going 22 knots or whatever we were doing is super cool. And then, like, if you know where to look online, you're like, oh, look, we're passing the Fantasy. Oh, look, we're passing 2 SpaceX barges that just recovered like a capsule and a thing or whatever. I don't know. There's like all kinds of cool stuff along the way. But you go up on deck and you're like, the wind is whipping. And unfortunately I have no idea what the result of the medical emergency was. I hope they are okay. But it's
we had one too,
unique
but
experience.
They came over, so we got on. I think we got on board from Lookout, and the next day's Castaway. And we get on board, and it's like that. It's the 5 o'clock. Like, okay, you've all been back on at least for 15 minutes, and they're like, "We have a medical emergency," and blah blah. And immediately, once you hear that, you're like, "Where are we going?" And she just keeps going. Eventually, you realize you're like, "Oh, but we're not actually going anywhere. They're gonna come get them here." So I think we stayed docked at Lookout slightly longer, and I think they dealt with it there.
Okay.
But they tell you about it, so immediately you're like, well, where are we going? But then we didn't go anywhere. So I assume it wasn't that bad if there was no rush to get someone somewhere.
I imagine it's not that uncommon, just with the many thousands of people you have on a ship.
4,000 people.
That somebody's going to need some sort of medical attention that might require more care than they can get on board
Think
the ship.
how often it happens on an airplane.
Yeah.
Like I've been on so many flights, or especially those 14-hour ones where someone just doesn't feel well and you see people rushing down the aisle and you're like, number one, I hope they're okay. And number two, can we please go where we're going? It's like, obviously, number one, I want them to be okay. But number two, like, this is a 14-hour flight and we're like 5 hours in. Where are we going at this point? Are we turning around or are we going to Hawaii? Where are we off to?
Yeah, that's tough.
Like obviously if you're only like 2 or 3 hours in, then it's like, well, I guess I turn around. Okay. But once you get like the middle part, you're like, we're over the ocean. Where are we taking this person?
Yeah, that's. I hope not to have to worry.
No,
about that in the future.
obviously I hope no one has to experience having a medical emergency on an airplane. But when you get to the middle of that flight, it's like, where do you take them? Like, where is the nearest medical facility?
Before we get too deep into it, I want to pause the cruise talk.
Yeah,
because our audience is primarily here for Reese's news.
and we'll talk about what's behind the Reese's.
Here, do you want to tell people what we have?
My mother watches this show for some reason, and saw all of our Reese's endeavors last year. Obviously, the Reese's popcorn was the most recent thing, but recent thing.
Peanut butter cups.
But yeah, it started with the
peanut butter
argument about what
cups.
was the best Reese's. I think I
Eggs,
argued the eggs or the trees,
pumpkins.
and we tried all of that. And then someone was nice enough to send us several new varieties of Reese's at one point. We tried all those. But so my mother found Reese's dipped animal crackers, and for Christmas handed me that and goes, for you and Eric to try on the air. Don't worry, they're not stale yet. They're good until May of 2025, so we can still have them.
Just like Muppet Vision 3D.
It's got till June. More on that later. Shall I pop this open? They're dipped in milk chocolate, covered in peanut butter candy. Not peanut butter candy. For legal reasons, they can't call it peanut butter. I think we should just smell the
Is that like Kraft calls their cheese slices American singles and not cheese?
Yeah, kind of. They've been in the
Okay,
fridge a
I
while.
have to make this comment.
They've been in the
What is this, a buffalo?
What
A bison? A Reese's
What
bison?
animals are these?
I can't even tell
What?
what it is.
What are these?
These look like chicken McNuggets or something.
Oh, man.
They are indistinguishable animals. I think this might be a bison.
It's like trying to tell the Universal tribute stores apart. It's like, which is this?
Honestly,
Halloween
though,
or
they're not
something?
lying because look at even on the front of the package, you see you can't tell what that is.
Yeah, because of the peanut butter coating on the front, you kind of lose the shape, right? Are we trying one? All right. They're pretty darn good.
It's not bad. These have been in the fridge for a while.
Yeah.
Still cold.
You can have one here.
Katie. Yay, Katie.
They're good. I don't think they're as good as the other Reese's stuff we've had. And honestly, they're a little disappointing because I thought they were going to change my life.
We had one Reese's thing that was bad. I don't remember what it was. Some experimental peanut butter cup that was like...
The caramel?
Was it caramel? No.
I don't like the caramel ones. All right, so 4 pieces are 150 calories, so I'm going to have 4. There's my other 2. That's the suggested serving. What animal
What do
is
you...
this?
I
Is this
don't...
a tiger?
I'm going to have one
Lion?
more. I don't know what animal this is. I don't even know which way it goes. Is it a teddy bear? Is it a...
Squished Florida?
I don't know what it is. Is it a tractor?
The more I eat them, the more I like them. They're good. 22 servings per container. I'm sure everyone that buys these has them in 22 servings.
I don't love them.
What do you want to give them at a 7? 5? 6? I'm 6, I think.
I'm thinking I'm like a 4.
Really?
They're good, but they're not...
I like them. They're not trees. Like the trees and the
said
eggs
5.
are a 7. I have 5. We'll go 5. They're good.
All right. Well, there we go. There's your hard-hitting Reese's peanut butter news of this episode in animal cracker form.
You know what else happened between shows? We had an event. We didn't even get to promote that event on this show, I think, because we were gone so long.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, we had Promising Tomorrows, which was our celebration of 50 years of Space Mountain and 30 years of New Tomorrowland at the Magic Kingdom. It was a really fun event.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Then as part of it, he didn't make it in time, but he's pre-ordered now, our Intergalactic Lounge Singer plush.
With removable keyboard.
It does come off. So
Space,
you can order him now.
Space piano, what's it called?
What? The Astro Organ.
Astro Organ.
The amazing Astro Organ. Yeah, so there he is. He's very cute and very cuddly, and I like his hair.
Yeah, carouselofproducts.com. It is selling super fast.
All of our Promising Tomorrow stuff is. We have a lot of other stuff. The lithographs are selling very quick. We have a Space Mountain 50th piece that Tim Delaney did. Of course, Tim Delaney responsible, along with obviously a lot of people work on these projects, but Tim, the main person responsible for the Disneyland Paris Space Mountain and the Hong Kong Disneyland Space Mountain. He did this beautiful piece with John Hench's sketch of the Florida, the original, and then progressing through all of them through time. And then another great piece was Paul Osterhout was nice enough to let us scan his new Tomorrowland poster from Walt Disney Imagineering. And so we have that if you'd like it as well. So carouselproducts.com. And then as well, we have the Space Mountain stress balls. I don't have them in front of me, but they're Space Mountain stress balls for the 50th. They look like the ball pit balls. We did an Alien Encounter magnet with Skippy.
A sticker?
And a sticker for 30 years of Alien Encounter. And if you haven't watched the event, we are still selling a streaming ticket. You can still go watch them
For 30 days.
on demand. Yeah. Well, 30 days from the event. So I think you still have like 2 weeks left to watch. So you can buy it and go watch. And very likely we'll put an extension on there so you guys can watch them longer. But if you can still go buy the streaming ticket now, and if you have a couple hours, it's something fun to binge. Is the event. So Promising Tomorrow's available at spacemountain50.com, and then this guy and all that other merchandise available at carouselproducts.com.
It was a fantastic event.
It was a good time.
I didn't get to see all of the presentations, so I will probably buy the stream to watch the ones.
That Alien Encounter.
I was sitting 50 feet away in my office and couldn't watch. It was busy.
Yeah, it takes a lot of people to make these events happen. We are going to have another event in the not too distant future. In fact,
is that ready to talk about yet?
I can give people the dates. We don't have the venue thing settled yet, but I can talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
So for those of you that don't know, we did Stage 89 last year, which was our 35th anniversary of Hollywood Studios event, and that was an insane reunion because that was 19 of the original Imagineers who built the Disney MGM Studios. No one has ever, not even Disney at a D23 event, has put that many people who built a single park together in the same room. That's never happened, never mind a fan site. So it was a pretty special opportunity. And obviously by meeting 19 Imagineers, you get to meet, you've met 19 more people than you knew before, and they all know people who worked on other projects. And so when you get to know these people and bring up like, oh, the anniversary of this is coming up, and that's blah, blah, blah. And that's how we got to Promising Tomorrows. Was Mike West and Paul Osterhout both came to that event, saw our Alien Encounter display up front in the museum, and were like, oh, if you ever want to talk about New Tomorrowland, we'd love that. That'd be great. And that was the beginning of it, and then they, of course, gave us names of people, and we invited people, and we had an event. Now, if you watch Stage 89, you know we had a really wonderful, like 45-minute-ish presentation, which is free to watch on our YouTube channel right now, where we talked about the development of Muppet Vision 3D, and the Muppets attractions that didn't happen. Now, I will tell you, there are a lot of stories that did not come out in the midst of that 45 minutes, because that is a time constraint for a attraction that has a lot of detail to it. And so when we did that presentation, I think I ended by saying, obviously, I think Muppet Vision is safe at this point. We're never going to lose this attraction, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to me being wrong. And Disney deciding to take everything we love away from us. So obviously we had several people who worked on Muppet Vision in the room then. There are still several people involved in that project that were not there. And no one from the Henson side was at that event either. And so Disney announced Muppet Vision's closing, and Paul and Eric Jacobson came back for this event. And Paul said to me while we were at the event, like, we should probably do something for Muppet's closing. I said,
Can I just pause for
go ahead.
a real quick moment? When we say Eric Jacobson, because there is overlap now,
Yeah.
Eric Jacobson is an Imagineer, or was an Imagineer.
Oh, yeah.
But there is another Eric Jacobson who's a famous puppeteer who is associated with Henson.
Who will not be at our event because he still actively works for the company.
Anyway, just to make
fair.
sure that we understand.
That's fair. I forget that because I'm not
a very famous puppeteer.
I love the Muppets,
so,
but I'm not like I am with Disney.
Right.
I'm not. That's not how I am with the Muppets. So yeah, Eric Jacobson, the Imagineer, was here, and so Paul said we should have an event. I was like, oh, that'd be cool. But do you think everyone would get together if we did a little reunion when they announce a closing date? There was no closing date yet. This is like 2 days before a closing date is announced. And Paul's like, I would definitely do it. I was like, okay, we'll do something. And at that point, I'm not thinking grand. I'm not thinking this will be some huge event, blah, blah, blah. And so the date gets announced. And so I immediately start contacting Paul and Eric and going, should we do this? Like, it's coming up quick. Are you available? And they're like, yeah. And reach out to Kathy Rogers, who we had at the event. Kathy's wonderful. And Kathy
wonderful.
Immediately. And what was really heartwarming was Kathy messaged back and said, I'm actually in Orlando now. I booked a trip to come say goodbye to Muppet Vision, which is such a heartwarming thing to hear that a project these people worked on so many decades ago means so much to them still to this day, where it's like, I need to come see this and say goodbye. And so Kathy was immediately on board. But what's really cool beyond that is there are a lot of very famous people
be careful
involved. I'm not going to
this.
name names at this point. There's a lot of very famous people involved in either the creation of Muppet Vision or with the Muppets in general, who have in some way touched Muppet Vision. And either I directly or via people that are involved in this event, we have, I think, already made contact with a good number of those people. And so things are happening right now. There's a lot of scheduling and negotiating and things of that sort happening at this time. But I can tell you we are going to have an event June 5th, 6th, and 7th here in the June 5th, 6th, and 7th here in the Orlando area. Where yet? But an event that will be a proper farewell to Muppet Vision 3D, an attraction that was the last thing Jim Henson worked on in his entire life, that has been a cornerstone of Walt Disney World and Hollywood Studios for over 30 years, and so important to so many people. It deserves a proper send-off. That pretty much in the same way we did the Great Movie Ride, that whole big farewell we had, this is going to be similar to that in a lot of ways. We are trying to work with Disney. We'll see what happens on that front. But at the very least, the guest list will be insane. So,
and if the guest list is as insane as it has the potential to be, there's no way we could have it here in our studio.
No, and the other thing is we don't want people to miss out because we have a small capacity in this building. Obviously, I think for Golden Jamboree and for Stage 89, we packed it tight.
About 100.
Over 100 people, I think, for both of those. And that's, like, we made it work, but it's somewhat uncomfortable. The room gets hot, and it's not made to put, like, we're within fire code, but it's not really made comfort-wise for what we're doing with the space. Right. So in the case of this event, we would want as many people as want to be there to be able to be there. And so that's why it may still be held here. We don't know. We might be held in our room. It may not. We're trying to, we just think to accommodate more people would be best, but we'll see what happens, knock on wood. But I want you all to save the date, June 5th, 6th, and 7th. Obviously, June 7th is the last day of operation. That is closing day at Muppet Vision 3D, so that's where that day would be. But some lead-up events on Thursday and Friday is what we're gearing towards, involving those from Walt Disney Imagineering and those from Jim Henson, who made Muppet Vision happen. I will tell you more when I know more, but I will tell you, if you're a WIGS member, WIGS members, you get the first registration. So it's been the way we've done every event. You get the first crack at registration. So
if you want to become a WIGS member, you can go to patreon.com/WDWNT to learn more. You'll be a WIGS member for as little as $2 a month. There are other things you get as you get higher.
Yeah,
the
tiers, the
live
discounts
with us right
the
now.
discounts increase. So if you're particularly joining because of the event benefits. What I will say is the higher you go in the WIGS membership, the better your discount is for those events. And then also we generally have a WIGS Ultra mixer or special event of some kind as part of these larger events as well. So obviously we appreciate any level you contribute at. That helps the content no matter what. But at the same time, if you're buying it specifically because, well, I want to support you guys, but I also want to get benefits for specifically I want to come to events, I want you to know like there are better benefits if you go higher and less of those benefits as you go lower. And what we will do registration-wise is we'll start at the top of the tiers and work our way down. So we'll start at WIGS Ultra, and registration will work its way down the list. And then once enough of the WIGS members have had a chance to register for this event, then we'll open to the general public. Some events have sold out to WIGS. That's happened before. Didn't happen for Promising Tomorrows. I think it almost happened for Stage 89, if I'm correct. I think it came very close. So just want to keep that in mind. It absolutely happened for Golden Jamboree and a few other events. But yeah, so we are working on a big farewell for Muppet Vision, and it's my hope is in the next week or week and a half we'll have some concrete details and get to start selling registration to folks. Again, it will benefit a charity. We don't know if it's going to be Give Kids the World yet because I think we want to see again, not being a Jim Henson expert, I'm not sure if there's a charity or organization that
they're more affiliated
Jim supported
with,
in particular. Yeah, and I think in his memory, it would be nice to obviously Give Kids the World is a wonderful charity, but you know there'll be several more opportunities for us to raise money for them the rest of this year alone. So you know if we could do something that is more connected to Jim, spread the love a little bit to another charity. We'll see what happens. But stay tuned for information. A glorious 3-day finale is what we're calling the event. So stay tuned.
You got a minute and a half.
No, we do not. We need more than a minute and a half in this case.
All right. Well, thank you. And now we can get back to talking about the cruises, I guess.
No, we can't talk about cruises anymore.
No, but I wanted to ask you a couple things.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. But if the WIGS members who are watching live have ideas, oh yeah, gambaroni is shrimp in Italian. That was a shrimp dish? Oh, it was real minced. I forgot about that. Oh. Rosanna's watching.
I wanted to know
hi, dear.
How many medals, how many trivia prizes did you bring home?
We only went to one because, number one, for time, but number two, you have to go on a longer cruise generally to get the Disney Parks trivia, what they call level 2. Mm-hmm. And so I saw that on the schedule. It's like, we have to go to level 2. I must see what the questions are in level 2. We went to level 2. There were about 15 other people there. And one of the questions was, who was the voice in the Main Street Electro Parade from 1970 to 1990?
Jack Wagner.
And so, and at the end, they ask you to yell out the answers. And so there's like 20 people in this room, and I just go, Jack Wagner, and everyone's just silent. And at that point, I'm like, oh, these poor people. These poor people.
I think we did 4 trivias, and we won 2.
What were the 2? What were the 4 you played, and what were the 2 you won?
There was 80s movie songs. Like they play a song, and what movie did it go with?
That's the one you won?
Or no, it wasn't 80s. No, that one I lost. We did very well. I think we did like 17 or 18 out of 20 on all of them.
Yeah.
We lost on that one. And that was because they played a song from Garden State. I've never seen Garden State, and I hadn't heard the song that went with Garden State.
Okay.
The other one was they played a few of these that were from Marvel movies, and you're like, man, was that Guardians 2 or was that Guardians 3? Oh, no, wait, that was Captain Marvel. Wait, this one, you know what I mean? There was a little bit of that. There was an 80s music one that I think we were very close on. The Imagineering one we were very close on.
Because
you got 18 on Imagineering, and I got something mixed up with Marty Sklar. And we didn't.
Wasn't it Kevin Rafferty? And I'm like, I just talked to him on the phone.
The question was, which Imagineer started their career with Disney? I think washing dishes at
Carnation, right?
Plaza, I think.
Was it Plaza?
Yeah, I think it's at Plaza at Disneyland.
Plaza?
And
to be honest, I don't remember that
Marty
either.
Sklar, but it was Kevin Rafferty.
Yeah, because they all have stories like that. Like Tony Baxter was scooping ice cream.
Yeah, I get them all mixed up.
A bunch of them started with Bob Weiss was balloons.
Yeah,
told that story at Stage 89.
So I think, but I came close. I think we're 18 or 19 out of 20 on that. Somebody was very smart, and they got 20. And then we won 2 other ones. I don't remember what they were. But one of them we got medals and like rubber, Goofy or something. On
Yeah,
the
the cruise line
We'll
ones,
probably
yeah.
put them on the prize wall. And one of them we won like a cruise line like prize pack. It's like
the bag.
The bag with
Yeah.
sunglasses and stuff in it. No, we had really good. I think the like cruise staff or entertainment hosts. I think they call them. I don't know what they call them now. They used to call them cruise staff. I think now they call them entertainment hosts.
Entertainment team. Yeah.
The ones that we had for trivia were all really some of the best I've ever had.
Yeah.
So shout out to, I think his name was Brian maybe. Shout out to all those people. They were all great. And we really had a good time with all that stuff. I did a bourbon tasting.
Okay.
It was only the $50 bourbon tasting. It wasn't like when you got the coin and all that. It wasn't like...
In fairness, I went a rung down from where I was going to
Yeah.
because I felt bad because I still promised you at some point we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And we will.
The bourbon tasting, funny part, I think they had about 20 bourbons out on a table, but you had 4 in front of you, and they'd say, "Drink this one." Oh, what do you think? What do you think of this one? This has notes of this, and this is high.
Was it a
rye.
good group though? Because when
No.
I remember when you and I did the one on the Wish. That was the Wish, right? When we did that.
I didn't do one. This is my first time I've done one. Yeah.
Oh, I took Jason. Oh my God,
no.
Jason didn't know what anything
This one
was.
doesn't taste like
But I sent
s'mores.
you. The reason I'm thinking of you is because I texted you a picture of the 4 bottles, and you were
yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, those are real good." That's why I was thinking of you.
Yeah. No, in fact, it was really late. It was like 10 p.m. in Marceline Market, which seems like a weird place to do a bourbon tasting.
Oh.
They have a bar there though, so and I enjoyed myself. But I mean, there was maybe 4 tables set up for people with 2 at each, so 8, and I think only 4 people showed up. I don't know what they did with the rest of the
That's
bourbon. But
wild
I was
because
in no condition to drink any more bourbon by the time it was over. But I realized that when you guess one of the bourbons correctly, nobody's impressed. They just think you're a degenerate.
You think you're an alcoholic.
That was Woodford Double Oaked.
So the bourbon tasting the only tasting on our whole cruise that was sold out was the bourbon tasting. So we could not go to the bourbon tasting. There was only one of them though, which was weird for a 5.
They had a bunch for a 4-night on the Wish,
Yeah.
but they also had
I think
gin
they stock-
tastings and wine tastings and beer tastings.
I think the new ships, because of hooks specifically,
Yeah.
stock more bourbon, and so
Yeah.
there's a heavier emphasis. There were, I think, what felt to me, there were more martini and some of and gin. We had more of those on the schedule, it felt like, than usual.
We should set up Katie hosting a Shirley Temple tasting
and can
here
she
in the studio.
identify
You have to
them?
guess which Disney bar each Shirley Temple came from. What do you think, Katie? She's not liking the idea. Katie did a
Maybe
Shirley,
when she can walk again.
Katie did all the Shirley Temples, all the Shirley
can't go
Temples
get
on the
them,
monorail
yeah.
loop for the marathon show one year.
That was insane.
What was the best Shirley Temple on a monorail loop?
Tambu Lounge.
Tambu. Okay. So it took you
believe it.
45 minutes to get it, but it was good once you got it. I'm just kidding. Love the bartenders at Tambu Lounge.
But you liked
be a
your
little
what
mob
were
there sometimes.
what were your bourbons? What do you remember what they were?
Yeah, Blue Run, which I had never had
I
before.
don't know what that is.
It's good. Blue Run is good. We had an Elijah Craig, which I can immediately tell because Elijah Craig's always like a very sharp, like bang.
Yeah.
We had Woodford Double Oaked, and we had. I can find out.
Okay.
We can always.
I did in your honor. I was tired of the sugary drinks and we weren't working.
Yeah.
So I eventually just started ordering Blanton's because we had to go see each of the bars because the bars on the Fantasy are great. They're all Europe themed. And so we got to like Skyline. I look at that menu. I was like, I don't really want all the calories of these sugary drinks. I'll just take a double Blanton's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in your honor, I ordered Blanton's.
I had one at the
across
coffee
street.
bar there.
Yeah.
The Enchanted Stone or whatever it's called. The other bourbon was Angel's Envy, which was my gateway bourbon. In other words, when I
Enchanted
was
Sword.
coming of age, so to speak, I don't know, years ago, I was pretty much just like a beer or a Jack and Coke guy. You know, like went out in the Marine Corps, and that's kind of what you would drink. Wherever you went in the world, it was pretty safe to drink Jack and Coke or beer. And so that was kind of like what my just normal thing to get all the way like into my 30s. And then Angel's Envy was the first time I started drinking like bourbon, like on the rocks or neat. Because it's pretty easy drinking. It's sort of my gateway into the rest of it. So it's not something I drink regularly anymore, but it was certainly the thing that first encouraged me, like, oh, this is a better, I like life better like this, sipping like that. So, no, it was a good time. I want to do one of the medallion bourbons sometime. I didn't even go to Hook's Barbery on this.
But did you really want one that had the wish on it, right? You probably got to get back on the Treasure or maybe even the Destiny.
Yeah.
Maybe we can fit
do
it in the
something on
Destiny media
I think
sale
there's
and
going to
we'll
be a
see what
Hook's Barbery on a Destiny. Let me look.
Yeah, there
Is
should.
it listed? No.
Oh, you have the ship
I have the
comparisons?
ship
Do they have a
comparisons.
Destiny one already?
Let me see. They do have Destiny because what the restaurants are going to be?
They're already announced. Pride Lands,
1923 and Worlds of Marble.
Worlds of Marble, yeah.
Palo Steakhouse on Shantae.
Yeah.
Edna a la Mode Suites will be here. I don't know. I'll find Hook's Barbery later.
It'll be there. It'll absolutely
It's on
be
one
there.
of these pages.
So speaking of Hook's Barbery falls under spa and salon. Do you want to know what I did for the first time in my life?
Got a massage. Did you really?
We did the private room.
Well, how was it?
It was amazing.
Really?
It was really fantastic. Like the view. So we did it on Castaway Day, and so the view, you have like a. I'll give Billy these photos so you could show people. But I'm going to do a whole piece about it. They put you out on the balcony, so you have a private balcony with a hot tub, and they put you out there first, and they do like a foot scrub and massage, and it was cool because the patio's nice and
You have your
wide.
robe and ascot.
Yeah, and the patio's nice
pipe.
and wide and open, and so you have a view of. And we were looking out at Castaway, which is really pretty. And so it's nice. You do a soak for like 15 minutes, and then you go in and you get your massage. And it was, I feel, first time in my life. And like I've had a lot of back pain the last couple of years, so it's pretty magical.
Cool.
Yeah, no, we had a.
I'll do it one of these
It was a
days.
cool thing. Have you not?
No, we took.
But you've had a massage
yeah,
before.
Yeah, but not on a cruise.
Okay. You and I got pedicures once.
Yeah. I still get pedicures. When you get old and you have bad knees, it's a good way to clip your toenails.
Yeah.
You know? I probably need to go get
Wait,
one.
what does that have to do with your knees? Oh, because you can't.
You gotta, like,
you're
clip your
hard
toenail.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was like, is clipping your toenails good? I'm an idiot. Is clipping your toenails good for your knees?
Yeah, probably if you get really, really long toenails, it's bad for your knees.
Oh, man.
No, but we did the tour of Senses because Lee was going to buy like a day pass.
Yeah.
You can get like a pass for every day of your cruise.
Yeah.
And we did the tour, and when we got done with our tour, we're like, oh, well, let's go look at a couple other things, and then we'll check and buy it. And then it was sold out. So
I think we ended up doing the massage because we really wanted to do the rainforest room pass, right?
Yeah,
It was sold out.
yeah.
So like, I guess we're not doing that. And then, so the cool thing is if you do more than one thing, you then get discounts. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So we got 20% on the massage because we got pedicures.
Oh.
And then when we're getting pedicures, they're like, well, it'll be 20% off the room if you want to do it. Or like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I would say like we got a good deal on this cruise, but I spent an awful lot of money on this one.
Same.
And, it
I
sneaks
went
up
because
on
it was
you,
like,
right?
oh, it's cheap. Let's go on this cheap cruise.
Let's go on
And
this cheap cruise.
And then we're like, oh, massage. Oh, this.
then I was like, oh
that.
no, I have $1,300 in onboard charges. But I mean, we did a tasting. We bought internet.
Yeah.
We did a couple things
Yeah.
and whatever. We had a good time. So it was,
No,
it's the first time in a long time I've gone on a cruise strictly to relax.
Same.
I mean, I did a little work.
Yeah.
I did some work, but for the most part, I was just,
But we can never
relax.
stop, right? Because obviously you're in an environment that is something that you deal with at work. So even though you're enjoying yourself, you immediately come across something and immediately go, man, people should really either know about this or we should do a thing. Like you can't stop thinking about it.
I've said it, and some people won't agree, but I just think like that's that frontier, that last frontier for the Disney fan. I think is like obviously all the parks in the world you want to do, but the cruise it's very accessible.
Yeah.
It's not cheap, but it's you can find good deals every now and then.
To Disney, like the
I just-
Orlando locals lose sight of the fact, right? They all go on like, oh, I can't afford to go to this place. I can't afford to go to that place, blah, blah, blah. That's because the Disney World you experience is not the Disney World that everyone else does because you don't have airfare and you don't have a hotel and those things make Disney World very expensive. And so when you look at that cruise price, I will tell you what you just paid for the Wish and I just paid for the Fantasy. I don't think you could have gotten much of anything at Disney World for that price unless you were staying at a value resort. And even then, at that point, it wasn't wildly different. I will tell you, same thing. We're going to Anaheim for like 4 days next month. Like we had to try real hard to find, what are the cheapest flights? What's a good cheap hotel that's not dirty? outside of Disney.
Where the Wi-Fi works.
Yeah, and so like you still end up spending a lot, and it's not very far apart from our cruise price.
Yeah, I think the cruise is just a great way to relax because sure, there's a schedule of stuff going on that day, and you can do as much or as little of that stuff as you want and not feel like you really missed out. Like I missed bingo. It might be fun to win bingo, but I don't feel like I missed anything when I go.
But I get dragged when I save bingo for when I go with my parents.
Oh, but that's a big bingo.
They were one away on the treasure twice, and it was very exciting. But
no, I just think I like that style of vacation. Right? It's a little curated. Yeah. Right. It's a little you can go to places, but you still are going to sleep. You can go to places all over the world, but still go to sleep in like your comfy cabin on the ship and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's something special about it, and there's something uniquely Disney about a Disney cruise that is not. It's an experience that's not quite like being in the parks, but it's at least that sort of in a strange way better. In many ways, it's better. Other ways, it's a little like totally foreign. Yeah. But I just think there's ways that you can experience that Disney magic that are hard to describe to someone else, whether that's something as simple as a sail away party or fireworks at sea or a surprise meet and greet or just some kind of surprise and delight along the way. Some of those things are just the way the cruise industry is, whether, every cruise line has folded up animals on your bed made out of towels when you get back to your
not
cabin.
all of them have Wally.
Right. But, right. But I think Disney manages to put this special touch on a lot of this stuff. And even when they miss, because I feel like the Marvel restaurant misses the mark, right? Even when it misses, it's still pretty cool. Like, oh, Spider-Man came up to me and fist bumped me when I was at dinner. It's kind of cool, right?
He got web in my ziti, but otherwise.
Right. But I feel like there's, I don't know, to watch my girlfriend shed a little tear when they set off the horn or when this sail away party kicks off or whatever, it's worth it to me. Like, I feel like those things are magical. And there are ways that you can experience it that are hard to describe and hard to sort of compare to a park experience. It's like the same but totally different.
It's just minus the ride. It's the level of service that you used to get at the U.S. Disney theme parks. Imagine if your hotel was in the park, but the park had no rides. That's what I equate the cruise ship to, because everything else is there. The entertainment is all there. The characters are there.
Are you disparaging the Aqua Mouse and the Aqueduct?
Aqueduct is so much better than the Aqua Mouse. Man, I love the Aqueduct. I know I said we still have to do my second honest review of the treasure. I'm going to spoil it a little bit. Fantasy is still my favorite ship. There are still just things on that class that they got so right.
What are the bars on the Fantasy?
The Europe themed. So the Tube, which is the event bar, is like British themed. It's not the best cocktail menu, but it's really cool in there. There's a section that looks like you're sitting in a train. Okay. And has like glass and a fake wall behind it, like that looks like the station platform. Then there's Skyline.
Yeah, they have Skyline under Dream.
Dream and Fantasy, but the Fantasy one's all European locations. Okay.
Do they have that pink champagne bar?
Pink is Dream. Okay. Ooh La La is Fantasy,
Ooh La La.
so it's the French. It's very French themed. Really
still
pretty.
Champagne.
Yeah. So they still have venue wise, like they're still.
What is
this
the
is
one
the
that looked like a
the
carousel or something like that?
That is the Italian one. That's La Piazza.
Where's that?
It's in the middle.
In the same district.
It's in the middle. You walk through it.
Oh, it's like a promenade bar.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Basically.
Okay.
So it's the promenade bar. Then to the left you have O'Gill's, the pub.
Yeah.
To the right you have Ooh La La. Then you have the second most expensive bathrooms the Walt Disney Company has ever produced, which I still think is unfair because they claim number one is the tangled toilets, but that you needed to build a building for. Yeah. We should really factor in some of the ship cost into the Spain bathrooms. Yeah. They're unbelievable. Tile work, every stall, just tile work, floor to ceiling, mural. They're unbelievable. They're the coolest thing I've ever seen. I literally I realized I had to go to the bathroom and be like, okay, I'm going down to 4 now because I'm going to the Spain bathrooms. And then you have down at the other end you have Skyline and the Tube. Yeah. The Tube is super cool because it's the dance floor is underneath like a giant Union Jack made of lights.
Oh, cool.
And then the bar is Big Ben. The clock is above you, and then surrounding the bar are the train.
Oh, neat.
car seats. It's the Dream is weird because it's all just like, what did the future look like in 2010? There's no overt theme to the bars on the
Correct.
Dream. And I like the Dream very much. The difference for me is they're very similar ships. The difference for me is them being European themed. And I think they're gorgeous venues and they're really fun.
I've got to go. And I don't know why it's always so hard to find discounts on the Fantasy, except that it must be everyone's favorite.
Well, that's what I got. I was just on a discounted Fantasy.
Yeah.
And she just sent you one today.
Yeah, but I got to fly to Italy to get the discount. Yeah. I've never been to Italy, and I'm dying to go. So all I have to do is get a day off work, which is super easy around here.
If only someone could do that for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm already taking off to go to.
Watch
I'm flying
the Super
to
Bowl
Kansas
from where
City
it's not.
to watch. Look, I cut a deal with my sister, and we lost my brother obviously last year, and we watched the Super Bowl together.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs won, so yay Chiefs. And then and in the world's best dive bar, Chicago's. And I don't know why it's called Chicago's, but I cut a deal with her that if they made it back to the Super Bowl, I would fly up there again to watch it with her, and they won. So
You're going.
gotta go.
Okay.
Gotta go. It's not the most exciting destination in the middle of winter. It's not the Fantasy.
It's a cool town
yeah.
in the rest of the year, but
Yeah.
maybe not in January,
Yeah,
February.
it'll be all right. It'll be fun. I have a lot of good memories there, so I'm looking forward to that. But I'd rather be on a cruise most of the time, I think. And I want to do a back-to-back cruise. That's the one I want to do. One where you don't change staterooms and you don't even have to. Like, apparently there's a scenario where you don't ever get off the ship.
Yeah, I've heard.
Or another scenario where you gather with a group of people who are going back-to-back and you get off the ship and are held in a certain area and then you get right
they
back
let
on
you
the
right
ship.
back on.
But you don't have to move out.
Yeah.
Or if you change staterooms, you have to, like, tell your cabin steward, like, take my bags.
Yeah.
And then they move them to your new room for you. And then, I don't know.
Yeah.
Any of that experience I think would be cool because I don't know, the cruising culture is weird, but I'm feeling it. I even to the point where I suggested to you that we go on one of those $59 Margaritaville cruises just to see how bad it is.
I'm in. I know Rosanna looked at one and was like, "Oh, maybe we should do that." And so then I came back and you brought that up. I was like, "We should all just go and vlog it and see what happens. Even if it's bad, it'll be fun."
So there's two ships that they have, the Paradise and the Island something. I don't know.
Okay.
The Paradise sails out of West Palm Beach, which is weird. I've never, you'd think like Port Canaveral or Fort Lauderdale or Miami, but apparently West Palm Beach has a cruise port. And it's the Paradise, and it docked next to us in Nassau, and it's bad. Right? Yeah. It's small, it's rusty. The people on it look casting glares at you across the water as you're docked in Nassau for being on a Disney ship. But I've actually seen TikToks that are like, this thing is not as bad as people say. I've seen stuff that's like, it's pretty bad. But I've also seen like, but it's not as bad. And
but I assume we have to buy drink packages. Like even soda.
I'm sure like nothing's included.
They're one of those where you need a soda package.
I'm sure nothing's for $50, $57. I think I found one that said $49.
They'll find a way to get the money out.
But they have a slightly nicer ship that sails out of Tampa. And that might be a better solution. Okay. It's closer than West Palm Beach. Yeah. It's on a good day, maybe an hour from our studio to the cruise port in Tampa.
It's also an hour. It's an hour to Port Canaveral.
Yeah, but this is West Palm Beach. It sails out of West Palm Beach, so it's a little bit further, and maybe you get a better itinerary. I don't know.
I'm saying this one's not unreasonable compared to Disney. It's almost the same.
Yeah, it's about the same. This is like the one that sails out of West Palm Beach goes to Nassau and back. It's 2 nights. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're on it, you might be like, okay, 2 nights is
that's
plenty.
Enough time to go.
That's enough Jimmy Buffett for now.
Well, so what we were just talking about, Rosanna now really, really, again, not at all a cruise person. We brought her on the media cruise in December, and immediately she fell in love with it and couldn't wait to go again. So we're like, oh, look at these discount cruises. Here's one that fits our schedule. Let's go on the Fantasy. And then obviously, we get to the end of our Fantasy cruise, and it was incredible, and we're very sad and teary-eyed as we leave, and it's immediately like, well, when can we go again? 'Cause it's one of those where I think when Disney experiences are at their best, that last 24 hours is very emotional because you don't
Yeah.
want to go home. And number two, you immediately are plotting, how can I connive my way back to this place that I am currently? And I think wherever you've been, I think when I was a kid, it was Disney World. And then, things happen. And then as I've gotten older, it's Paris and Tokyo and the cruises for sure.
Yeah.
Are those places where it gets real emotional towards the end. It's the mark of a really great vacation is you don't want it to end. You're never ready to go home.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're, again, immediately plotting, how do I return? But we were talking about the Wish. And it's like, well, yeah, you've done the treasure. And so I think, it'd be good. We'll just find a weekend at some point where there's a 2 or 3 night Wish. We'll get that over with. And then, but the other cool thing is the magic is coming back here this
the
summer.
OG.
Yeah, so they're doing 3 and 4 nights.
The Queen of the
on
Fleet.
the Magic, which I feel like is enough time on the Magic. Also, I think it'd be cool to do the Magic on basically its original route.
Yeah.
One time. And I get the feeling, again, that's not going to be the highest demand cruise ever throughout the entire summer because it's the oldest ship on the route it's done most of its life.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for discounts on those. Be Our Guest Vacations would be happy to book that for me and for you.
I mean,
sure.
people are telling me that they have called Be Our Guest Vacations and booked multiple cruises with them.
Was that me? Did I call you?
No, I know one of our Wigs members, Eric, had told me. He's like, look, I talked to them, and he's like, I was like, bang, bang. He booked Treasure and Destiny. And he's never been on a Disney cruise.
Yeah.
So his first cruise is...
We sold him
his
on the
first
Treasure,
cruise is going to be on the Treasure.
That's
and then he goes straight to the Destiny.
Yeah.
So that's
I can't vouch for the Destiny yet. We'll see.
She's going to kill me for telling this story. Lee's first cruise was a 7-nighter.
Yeah.
And on the second day...
That wasn't the Norway, was it?
Yeah. On her second day, she tells the story that, I think it was the second day, she was crying because she didn't want to get off the ship. And it's 2 days into a 7-night voyage.
That's... I usually wait at least, like I remember first trip to Japan, at least get to the halfway mark.
Yeah.
And then you have that first... You're usually, like, it's getting ready in the morning, you're in the shower, and you're like... We're at the halfway point, aren't we? And then you're like, oh, no.
I'm sad the night before, and then when I wake up the next of debarkation day, the cruise is over. When I wake up, it's over. I'm not going to the sit down breakfast. I'm not dilly-dallying. I don't check my luggage usually. I did on our Treasure cruise because we had so much.
Yeah.
I self-carry my luggage off, and I'm out of there when the sun comes up.
Yeah.
And I'm on to my day. I'm a rip the Band-Aid off kind of person. So that's how I do it. Other people like to linger as long as they can.
We went to the breakfast, but we once I start packing, that's it.
Yeah.
Once the bags are open and things are being thrown into them, then it's time to go.
So my sister-in-law went on a cruise once. She will kill me, except I'm not telling anyone her name. They went on a cruise, and somehow she didn't leave any clothes behind when they set their luggage out in the hallway. So she walked off the ship the next day in her pajamas.
They literally told that's one of the like tales of warning they give on the last night of the so on the Disney cruise, if you put the TV on the night before, they tell you the time your bags have to be outside and all of that. And specifically, that someone will always say on the little film, like, oh, just make sure you have everything you need for the morning. Because we've seen people leave in pajamas or leave in what they wore the night before, and you don't have a choice.
Yeah, on the flip side of that, when I went on the Magic for the opening of Lookout Key, and we're at the new terminal in Fort Lauderdale, there was a woman. We were an hour from getting on the ship, right? It was a little slow getting on there. Yeah. I mean, in her bikini and like sheer cover up.
Yeah.
Like just ready to
Going
hit
straight
the
to the
pool
pool,
second she got on board. She didn't have anything with her but a beach bag. Everything else was checked. She was like, I'm in a bikini until dinner.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, do you?
That's a good time to hit the pool. If you could beat people onto the ship, that's a good time. Now, what we did, Castaway, we went and did the pools. Yeah. We were alone at Satellite. As much as I like the Treasure, those Wish problems are just too much. Like, the pools are awful.
Yeah.
And so, like, to go on
that
a ship.
adult infinity pool on the aft is cool.
The whole adult section, that Cove Cafe that wraps around and looks out at the little pool, they got everything in that adult section right on the Dream and the Fantasy. Senses is right there. The Satellite
Doesn't the hot
Falls.
tub have like a glass floor? Isn't on the Dream, it seemed like there was
It's up against the window.
in a Dream, I thought there was a hot tub that kind of stuck out from the side, and you could see through it. Maybe I've only been on a Dream once, and it was a long time ago. So it seemed like there was a see-through floor on the bottom of that, just a little window, just to look down. You can see the.
I think it was. I mean, it is up against the window there, so I don't know that I've been in it. I've seen people in it, but we didn't go in the hot tub.
It's been a long time. I haven't been on a Dream.
But I love the adult pool section. It's great. It's really great. And the shows, Believe is a wild show. I'm not going to spoil it because you still haven't been on the fantasy, but man, when you see Believe.
We had Little Mermaid, which is not good, and we had Aladdin.
I like Aladdin.
I don't like. I realize Robin Williams used topical humor when he originated the role of the genie.
Yeah.
I don't like people they were telling jokes about Moodang, the hippo, and Instagram and taking selfies. And
because the Aladdin show. So here's the thing for park people. To tie this back to park people, if you were going to California Adventure from like 2003 to now.
Yeah.
If you miss the Aladdin show and you miss the Frozen show, they both still exist. Slightly altered, but mostly the same. And one of the things was the DCA show every day was different.
Yeah. Because
you never knew what topical joke the genie was going to make.
Yeah.
And I get your point. Now, I think the genies on land were better. I don't know that there haven't been a lot of genies on the ships where I'm like, oh, they really nailed it. I don't know.
Walked out of Seize the Adventure because we had maybe the worst seat in the house.
I had something to do with the show.
Well, it's not like
it's a character stage show.
Yeah, it's a character stage show. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's not a
but
Broadway
it was
musical.
We were in the balcony in the back row, and we had a big post in our. It was our fault, right? We could have gotten better seats, and we just chose to okay, there's no crowding back here. We'll chill back here, and then that filled in. And you're like, guess we're stuck with this choice.
Yeah,
but it's great. I don't know. I'm jealous. I really want to go on to fantasy, and I got to make it happen.
I'm sure we'll make it happen.
Because we got 2 new ones coming.
We got more than 2 new ones.
We got 2 new ones coming this year.
2 new ones this year.
Yeah.
But the onslaught will not end for several years.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for my OLC ship, man.
And I'm waiting. I assume the Magic and then shortly thereafter the Wonder are nearing end of life for a cruise ship. So I don't know if there's going to be a net gain of that many ships because I feel like they're going to have to either – I mean, they might be able to rescue them with the dry dock. They are beautiful, wonderful, amazing ships. But, I mean, they're going to have to do a full overhaul environmentally of them and everything else. Like I just – I think the end might be nearing for the Magic and the Wonder within the next 5-6 years.
At least by the time this 13th ship is rolling out.
Yeah, because I think the average lifespan of a cruise ship is about 25 to 30 years, and we're getting there.
They're over 25.
Yeah. So, it's because the Magic is my favorite ship, right? Yeah. It's my home, and I love it. And it'd be great if I get news that's going into this major dry dock, like a 2-month dry dock where they're going to replace the power plant and they're going to do all this stuff. But I have a feeling it's going to get sold to Margaritaville at sea. Or
I don't think they should sell those to anybody.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone should own those ships again. Those are Disney's. No one should have them after that. I don't know. It just feels wrong. It's like when the monorails went to Vegas.
Yeah.
I was like, no, those should just be gone.
Yeah. Well, Tom, we've kind of reached the end today, and we didn't get very far. We have
a cruise that goes out to the Bahamas and back.
We have some themed episodes coming up. In fact, we are going to be. I'm going to be using this sheet to help me build the ultimate Disney cruise ship. And I think we're going to do that
at some point.
A couple weeks.
I think Nick and I are going to try to. Obviously, the news has come out that the Star Cruiser, at least for now, is going to become WDI offices.
So you're going to film that when I leave because I have to go.
That'll be next week.
That's going to be more recent, right? That's going to be Tuesday probably, and then
this might
will be the following
Tuesdays.
Tuesday.
I don't know at this point. We'll see what happens. But either way, Nick and I are going to do an episode about what they could do with the Galactic Star Cruiser after its Walt Disney Imagineering offices for a little while, which is apparently what's happening now. But yeah, we've got some other stuff coming up too. We'll talk about more park stuff.
It feels good to get back on the bike and have a new little kind of look for the show and
Yeah.
everything, and I'm happy that you joined us today. I promise we'll get back on a more regular schedule
As of
moving forward.
today.
It's been somewhat of a chaotic ending to 2024 and beginning to
Yeah.
2025, but we want to thank you for sticking with us, and we will see you next time on the WDW News Today podcast.
We'll see you real soon.